I'm finally going to be showing y'all what I do to my face. Hey y'all, I'm Christina or X Rebelstina, and as you can tell by the title, I'm going to be showing y'all my foundation routine. And honestly, like, it's taken me so long to finally get this, but I've been struggling to find the perfect foundation shade that works well for my skin tone and my skin type. So that's why it's taken me so long, and I know so many people have asked me for my routine. I literally been saying I was gonna do this all year. I wanted to make sure I kind of got my own face together before I just gave y'all the routine, you know what I mean? So yeah, I finally got it together. I hope y'all enjoy. If you want to see how I got this no flashback affordable face that you can see right here, you know, then just continue watching. So I'm going to start off using this L'Oreal Magic Lumi face primer and apply it all over my face, shaking it up and rubbing it in. And here I am using this Ruby Kisses contour palette, and I'm going to be color correcting with that orange shade. And when it comes to color correcting, I just color correct the discoloration on my face, and by discoloration that could be dark discoloration or light discoloration, because I do have lighter spots on my face. They're kind of like eczema dry spots, and I was trying to look and find them, but I actually couldn't find them with the lighting, so I just skipped out on that part. Now I'm going to be mixing these two foundations together. By the way, excuse my voice, I'm sick, so hope that doesn't bother you. So I'm going to be using this NYX Total Drop foundation and Wet n Wild foundation, and I'm just mixing these two together on the back of my hand. And then I'm going to use this E.L.F foundation brush to just apply it onto my face, because I didn't feel like using my fingers, but you can use your fingers if you want to. And I'm also making sure to blend that down to my neck. And I'm going to be using this E.L.F Ultimate Blending Brush just to blend that out. And I'm using tapping motions to blend that into my face. I'm making sure to blend it down my neck, on my ears, all that great stuff. And this foundation was kind of hard to blend out because it dried pretty fast. But I'm also making sure to blend this on my baby hairs, because you don't want the skin in between your baby hairs to be one color and your forehead to be a completely different color. So make sure to blend it there too. Now I'm going to be using this LA Girl Pro Concealer in the color Toffee. And when it comes to concealer, I advise you to use a shade that's 1 to 2 shades lighter and that is close to your undertone. And I'm going to apply it in all the spots I just showed. And when it comes to applying this concealer, less is more. I make sure not to go below my nose, and I make sure to go not further out than the tail of my eyebrow, and I also apply it on the high point of my cheekbone. But yeah, when it comes to concealer, I just advise y'all to use one that is your undertone and also one that isn't too light, because that can give off the illusion of flashback if it isn't your undertone, and also if it's too light. Now I'm going to be using this E.L.F Flawless Concealing Brush to blend that out. And I like to use a brush compared to a sponge, because I feel like a sponge takes up a lot of product, and I don't use a lot of product as it is. And also, the sponge, in my opinion, it makes my makeup patchy, and I don't like that. So yeah, but I'm blending this, working on the outside edges first, and then working my way in. And I like to tap it in. I'm just going to do that to the other side. Just blend on the outer edges and then work my way inwards using tapping motions. And then I'm going to blend out the rest of this concealer. And I'm going to be applying this underneath my cheekbones. And I'm doing this as a last step because I didn't want to apply it while I had all the other concealer on my face and it to dry up. So I do that, and then I go over it with my foundation brush because I don't like that color to really stick out. In my opinion, it gives off the illusion of Flashback. And now I'm going to be doing the flash test, and I do this test just to make sure I don't have any harsh lines. Like, as you can see, I have a harsh line right here. So I go over that with my foundation brush to just blend it out. And you'll be seeing me doing this a lot throughout the video. This is basically how I get my foundation to apply very flawless and smooth. I'm going to be blending underneath my eyes just to make sure I have no creasing because I'm about to set my eyes with this Airspun translucent powder. I'm going to apply it right underneath my eye, avoiding the rest of the areas that I put my concealer because I like to keep my concealer wet while I'm cream contouring. And I'm going to be using 2 shades. The second shade is optional, but I'm just going to go ahead and blend this all the way on my cheeks. And I make sure to stop on the outside of my pupil because I don't like to take it in too far. And I like to also curve it upwards just to sculpt my cheek. And then I'm going to use that same brush that I used for my concealer, wipe off the excess product, and then blend that into my hairline and also blend upwards. When you're blending out your contour, you need to blend it upwards, okay? Don't blend it down, blend it up. And I was actually struggling to blend this out because my foundation was pretty dry, so I'm using a stippling brush to just help me blend it out, and then I'm using my foundation brush to make sure everything is flawlessly blended. Now I'm going to be going in with this darker shade. This is optional, but I'm making sure to stop it right on the outside of my eye, or right where the arch of my eyebrow is. And I'm just going to blend that into my hairline and blend it upwards just like I did the other shade. And I like doing this when I want more definition. I feel like the first shade I used isn't dark enough. Just depending on how I'm feeling would decide whether I'm going to use the lighter shade and darker shade together. Now I'm going to be using that first brown and just applying it to my forehead and blending it out. This is a Tricky Beat production. And I'm also applying some on my Cupid's bow because it gives me more definition. And here I am doing a flash test once more just to make sure everything is blended, because this test helps you see things that you may not see with your eye. And now I'm going to be setting my face. I use 2 different things. Sometimes I use a sponge, sometimes I use a brush. It just depends on what I want to do that day. I want to tap off any excess powder from my sponge because I feel like I don't need all that powder. I don't like to bake my face, so I just tap this product into my skin. Right where I applied that concealer, I just tap it in. And then I apply it to my brush. I tap off the excess and just repeat the same process of tapping it into my skin. And I make sure to avoid this part that I'm showing you right where I put my finger, because I don't like to set that part. I feel like it makes my highlight look matte, and I don't like a matte highlight. I actually like my highlight to be wet looking. So I avoid putting powder in that spot. And now I'm going to be dusting off any excess powder from my face using this E.L.F. all over face brush. And now I'm going to be using this black Radiance powder. It's like a pressed powder, just to bring some more color back into my face. And I like to tap off the excess and go over the spots that I applied that concealer. And I know that seems backwards, like, why are you doing that? But this is just a way to prevent me from looking like, you know, Casper the Friendly Ghost. So, yeah. And now I'm going to be using this black Radiance contour kit and using the darkest shade in that palette with the Wet n Wild blush brush. I'm going to tap it into my cheekbones and then blend it upwards. And I like to hold it down at like a 45-degree angle. So that's what I showed y'all when I put it close to my, yeah, whatever. But I'm making sure to blend it into my temples also, my hairline and my temples. And then I'm carrying it onto my forehead because, like I said once before, you want the skin in between your baby hairs and your foreheads match. So you need to go ahead and go over that. And here I am doing some extra blending with my brush. And I'm doing some last minute flash testing just to make sure everything's good. And here I am looking for my blush, but I couldn't find it. So I decided to just continue doing the rest of my face. And I'm just applying that contour shade onto my jawline to prevent mask face because you don't want to be out here looking crazy. And then I'm going to go over that with my foundation brush to make sure it is blended well. Now I'm going to be using this E.L.F. brush. I have no idea what it's called, in that same brown shade from the Black Radiance contour palette. And I'm just going to contour my nose. I don't be trying to snatch my nose. I just do the bare minimum. I like to do some sharp lines at the bottom, work my way up the bridge of my nose, and then blend that out because I don't like any harsh lines. Now I'm going to be highlighting. When it comes to highlighting, I like to use a cream base first and then go on top with my powders.
This is a Chucky Beat production.
Now I'm going to be using this Wet n Wild creamy base and rubbing it on my finger and then applying it to the highest point of my cheekbones. And I'm just tapping that in on my little cheekies. And I'm also going to apply it on the bridge of my nose, my cupid's bow, and a little bit on my chin. I'm going to blend that out using my foundation brush. And then I'm going to use this combination on this side and the other combination on this side. And I'm going to be using this E.L.F. blush brush, can't talk, to apply it right on top of that cream base. And then I'm going to take that Kiss eyeshadow and apply it on the other side. I like to use eyeshadow because I haven't found a good drugstore highlight, so I just use eyeshadow and it works just as good. And now I'm going to go on top of the Milani eyeshadow with this Wet n Wild highlighter, and there you go. Y'all see that glow? Okay. And now I'm going to be using the cap of this NYX loose eyeshadow, and I'm going to tap my brush into the cap. And you see all that product on the brush? You do not want to put all of that on your face, okay? So tap it off, because if you don't, you're going to be out here looking like little Tin Man from the Wizard of Oz. And then I'm going to be applying my blush. I usually apply my blush before my highlight, but I couldn't find it. So I'm just applying it now. And I'm using that same blush brush because I don't really care about the color of the blush, but I like it to be similar to my contour color. And now I'm going to be going over my highlight with my foundation brush because I don't want it to be too much, and I also want it to be blended well. So that just helps it be more blended. Now I'm going to be taking my Airspun translucent powder and using that same brush that I used for my highlight. And I'm wiping out the excess product. And I'm going to apply it right where my smile lines are and right in between my nose and my highlight, because I feel like doing this gives a good balance between matte and dewy. I feel like if you're too dewy, you'll look oily and shiny. And there I am looking at myself. I'm crunk because I'm almost done. And now I'm going to be setting my face. Sometimes I use this matte finish spray from NYX, and sometimes I use my Mario Badescu. Usually I'll apply the matte first and then put the Mario Badescu on top. But today my face is feeling pretty dry, so I'm just gonna apply the Mario Badescu. And then I'm gonna spray a little bit of the NYX matte spray in my T-zone. And now I'm going to be doing my flash test for you guys. Yeah, this is basically the end of the video. I hope y'all enjoyed and learned anything that you could from this video. I hope y'all took some good tips from this video. And yeah, y'all, I didn't have any time to film an outro. Actually, I forgot because I was tired. But yeah, I hope y'all enjoyed. Thank you so much for watching. And bye, y'all.